our fiduciary oath is to build and protect other people's wealth.
Yes.
So if we're working with a buyer, our job is to get them the best deal possible. Well, the lower the price we get them, we actually make less money.
Right.
And that's the biggest win I can ever feel. Like, I mean, come on, I haven't negotiated against you guys.
Sure.
Seriously, like, you want to win for your client.
Yes.
And if you're on the buy side, if you can save them X amount of dollars, well, you just shaved off on paper what you're making.
Sure.
I felt the biggest and best on those because the biggest reward is helping building and protecting the wealth of others.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing hard to teach people is like, look, that's where you do the most good.
Welcome back to the latest edition of the Prosperity Builders broadcast. We are really happy that you've joined us. We're looking forward to sharing some of the best and brightest in the triad with you this evening. Michael, who do we have tonight?
I am so excited that tonight we have Chris Pappalardo from Keller Williams. Not only is he from Keller Williams, he is a bold coach, one of the top bold coaches in the United States, and just full of great ideas, full of enthusiasm, and we're happy to have you. So welcome, Chris.
Hey, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Plus, he's just a great guy.
Oh, great guy, great guy.
Even more so, we're excited about just chatting with you, hear more about your business and hear more about your past and how you got into real estate. So we're looking forward to a chat tonight.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Well, this is kind of the encore because we had the opportunity to have Chris join us for the folk experience.
Right.
Yeah. And he did he lit it up. I mean, his presentation was on fire. And I mean, it was like afterwards, it was like a group. It was almost people coming up and asking for his autograph.
Nobody could keep up with the pens fast enough because you talk fast anyway, right?
I do.
Admittedly,
I do.
Right, but people were. Could you repeat that? Right?
Yeah.
So, I loved it.
It's true. Yeah. It's true.
So, Chris, give us a little start for how your journey into this wonderful industry started, and perhaps what were you doing prior to that?
Okay, so I got into real estate. In September 2010 is when I actually started. The first day I walked into Keller Williams. So the Monday or the Tuesday after Labor Day is kind of like my big day because that was when I walked in 2010. Previous to that, I had a really blessed, odd kind of Hallmark like lifetime movie experience. I was a musician, and I spent 7 years in Nashville as a professional musician, touring around the country and around Europe, playing with great players. Had a really good time in that. Moved to Wilmington, North Carolina, started my own band, because when I moved to Nashville, what I discovered was you have to show up there with talent. You don't go there to start getting good. So I left, actually, and went back to the coast, moved to Wilmington, and started a duo called Waterline. And after about 3 years of regional success, we actually started getting offers in Nashville to, there's this band called Brooks and Dunn, and they were finally starting to phase out a little bit. And we were coming up, so we had a chance with all the connections I'd made and all the years I've been on the road. And then my bandmate was married and started to have a family, and he's like, man, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I had spent 3 years grinding it out in Wilmington, up and down the coast, playing. And so I moved back to Nashville, and then went right back on the road and realized, I do not want this anymore. I want a family. I want a life off the road. So I actually started managing band and instrument music stores. Mm-hmm. I actually worked at a place called McFadden Music in Wilmington, North Carolina. And then I got the opportunity to run a store in Asheville, North Carolina. I did that for a few years, and then got offered ownership in a piano store, of all places, in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I did that, and then that was right around 2000 to 2003 when things were really getting frisky with real estate and Nina loans and all these crazy things. And I actually bought my first two houses. Well, didn't tell you about it. I got my first real estate bug then because I studied the market, and I put 3 new construction houses under contract. However, I ended up only closing on 2 because I assigned the other 2 new constructions because the builder got behind on building, so they took almost a year to get built.
Right.
So in that year's time, these places went up like $30,000.
Wow.
Right? So I ended up assigning like 2 of those properties over to other buyers who wanted to buy right then and there. And then my wife at the time, we bought the other one. So I was like, I made first real money in real estate didn't do anything but put down like $5,000 deposit. I'm like, could it be this easy?
This is easy.
Because, yeah, this is easy. And then of course later we find out, no, it is not that easy. But no, I bought in the piano store, got the piano store doing well, and what I found out was I was working the least amount of hours I'd ever worked in my life, making the most amount of money in my life, and I was miserable.
Wow.
And I couldn't figure out why. I'm like, I go to work at 10, I get off at 6, I'm off on Sundays. I have 2 employees. it was a really slow thing. Working out, playing music, writing, living at the coast. And I got ownership in this, and it was when I discovered that I was like, I really care about just playing my music, and I'm an entrepreneur. So my bandmate from Waterline, we and I talked, and I called in some favors in Nashville, and we put out another CD. And I sold my interest in the piano store. I took my profit from my 2 investment properties and the profit I made from the piano store, and I moved back to Topsail Island, North Carolina.
Wow.
Right in 2006.
Just a little a wave beginning, a tsunami beginning right about that time in our industry.
I bought my my house right on the Intercoastal Waterway, right before everything just went south. And I had deposits on a couple lots on Topsail Island. I thought I was going to do the same thing down there. I ended up in Virginia Beach. It was just too be true. And I had my nest egg. We've been saving. Found out, no, that's not how it works. So I went back to touring regionally. And then, the market started shifting there. And then another funny thing happened was another good friend of mine invented a product he didn't know he had invented. And I'd owned businesses my whole life. I started off raising Labrador puppies at 10 years old. Like, I've been a business owner, and even when I went on tour in Nashville, I got put in charge of. I became road manager, or I was finding ways to save the band money. It's just who I am.
Entrepreneur at heart.
I always managed the bands I was in, booked the gigs, did all those things. It's just who I was since I was 10. I got the biggest paper route I could at 12, and then I got other kids' routes. I just go as hard as I could all the time.
Always thinking market share back then.
I really was. I didn't know what any of that meant. And I was raised in the South where we didn't talk about money, we didn't talk about jobs, we didn't talk about things. Right. So I was really behind when I finally realized I was an entrepreneur. And even when I managed the stores I managed, they let me have free reign. I was in Asheville. I got to pick my own products. Hire and fire. I was 27, 28 years old,
That's awesome.
And I had 18 employees. It was a big store.
What a learning experience.
Yeah, no, it really was, and I loved it. Like, I loved the people, I loved all those things. So there was always these clues and things. And then 2006 happened, and I had a friend who built this invention, and he didn't know it was an invention, and he was using it as a golf course, and it was called we called it a trunk pump. It was a PTO, or a tractor-powered water pump. They would go around to golf courses and fill up the bunkers. And they were using like a little portable pump, and it was taking like 3 or 4 guys, and these portable pumps taking all day. And he built this machine in like 2 hours, the whole golf course was clear. And he had no money, and I did. So I hired a patent attorney. We went to a national golf show, and within 9 months, we were selling trunk pumps all over the world.
Wow.
In 2006,
phenomenal.
It was just like, I was like, oh my God. We ended up putting it at Valhalla and like all these golf courses where they had, the Ryder Cup, and we're selling all over Europe, Japan. I'm like,
phenomenal.
You thought you made it this
we did. Now, what's interesting was, the lesson was, I didn't love that industry. I loved the product we made, we designed. I loved my business partner, but I didn't love the product. We were doing it for the money. We really were. It was like, we were going to build it, and at that point in time, before the great collapse of 2008, it was always build something up, and then a conglomerate will come and buy you.
Right.
So the goal was like get a John Deere, Kubota, somebody to come in and buy us before we got too big. And then, then 2007, my now ex-wife, we got divorced, and I gave her everything except Trunk Pump, the company. I was like, you can have anything, you can have everything. but I want to keep this company.
Right.
Because we were in year 2 and we already had worldwide distribution. So we were like, right now. And now we were still running things out of a small storage facility in
That's
Wilmington.
amazing. This is pre-Shark Tank.
Oh yeah, yeah, really. Well, I mean, we just didn't know. We didn't know.
Sure.
But we knew to keep your money tight and you know, stay lean. And then, and so that was in 2000. Yeah, beginning of 2007. And then, so my wife and I got divorced, and I gave up everything, and was playing few music full time, running Trunk Pump with my business partner, going to trade shows and things, which I knew how to do. I knew how to travel. I'd been on the roads for so long. And then shortly thereafter, I met my now wife, Amy.
Mm-hmm.
And so Amy lived in Greensboro, lived where I live now. And she was working at a school for profoundly mentally and physically handicapped kids called Gateway.
Wow.
And people come from all over the state to go there. And she took a cut and pay to take that job. And when we started dating, you know, everybody assumed that, you know, the guy, you know, the girl moves to the guy and everything, and
Right.
I could sell trunk pumps anywhere in the
Right.
world.
Sure.
Okay. So, you know, that was never my plan. I was like, I'm not asking her to leave that job. It's saint work.
Yeah.
So, and things were riding high. Sales were good. And then October 2008 happens, and you know, the markets all collapsed. And the business model and the model we ran with Trunk Pump was gone. The whole way GE did financing, everything disappeared. So all of our purchase orders, everybody canceled.
Wow.
But I had all this product that we were building and creating that, and the way the model worked was you built it on credit, you sold it on credit, and then everybody settled up
Receivables, yeah, sure.
in May.
Yeah.
That's how it worked.
Yeah.
You know, it was floor planning for heavy equipment. So in October 2008, I'm looking at my entire life savings and everything sitting in a warehouse of stuff we're about to build.
Wow.
That we had all pre-sold orders that were no longer
All the
pre-sold.
POs went away.
And then again, who are you going to sue? Because, well, they're all out of business too,
Yeah.
or struggling, because everybody just aged their equipment. So what was amazing though was I'm dating Amy at the time. We're just dating, and I looked at her. I'll never forget it. I looked at her. I said, "Look, I know how to do 2 things. I know how to play music, and I know how to sell stuff. Those are 2 things that you don't get paid a lot in a depression. If this really becomes a depression."
Right.
And I was renting a little 1-room apartment over on the south side. And I said, "Are you going to be okay living in this 1-room apartment, living off your speech therapist paycheck for, till whenever?" And she's
Yeah.
like, "I don't care." I was like, "Me either.
Wow.
We're good."
That's love, baby.
Man, it was.
That's committed.
I mean, it was
yeah.
like, wow, right? So, so I moved here, and we got married, and I played music full time. I went back to like really aggressively playing music full time, just to keep Trunk Pump going, and see if we could get through it. See
Yeah.
if next year would be better.
Yeah.
And what happened was, in January 2010, when after we got through the trade shows and everything was done, we got to open the books and see how many orders we had and things. And what was very apparent was I had to get a job because my company could not afford me
Right.
to keep me going in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So Amy and I had to have that uncomfortable conversation of how are you going to reinvent yourself?
Right.
And of course, I'm like, well, I can wait tables, I can do this and that. And she's like, this is ridiculous. No, you don't wait tables. I mean, it's a noble profession, you can make good money, but no, career, like Chris. Like, so we're sitting outside, and it just hit me. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get into real estate. I was like, everybody's getting out.
So you
I'll get
dabbled before, but you hadn't gotten your license
No,
yet.
not a bit. No,
Okay.
man. I was a buyer
Yeah.
that happened to read Rich Dad Poor Dad and know how to consignment.
Yeah.
I did and/or signed on a couple contracts.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
I was like, hey, you know what? If they don't get, they get my $5,000. So at that point in time, I had it.
Kiyosaki's launched a lot of businesses.
He
that way.
has, yes, and I still play and I would love. By the way, I'd love to play a cash flow game with you guys.
Yeah.
Because I've got it.
You do?
Oh, of course I do.
my
I've
gosh.
played it many
Come on,
times.
That'd be great.
I've played it many times.
Well, here's the good news.
Yeah.
It's not like you were leaving something that was lucrative to get into real estate.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. That's
true.
very true.
That's
very
true.
true. Yeah. So
That's a good point.
So then, so we're sitting there. It's January, and I'm bankrupt. I'm officially bankrupt, and I have to reinvent myself. I'm still playing music full time, but I'm traveling to the coast from here because all my gigs were on the coast. I didn't know anybody here,
So I knew everybody there.
So I'm driving 3.5 hours, to play 3 or 4 days a week. And we're like, okay, I'm going to get my real estate license. So it took me 3 attempts to get my real estate license.
Did it really?
Yep. Not because I didn't pass the test.
Yeah.
It's because they canceled the class the first 2 times I signed up because nobody
showed.
Nobody showed. They had to have James Secor, all the classes around here. They had to have at least 3 people in the class to have
real estate at that
Nobody.
time? Nobody.
In 2010, everybody was getting out.
Yeah.
Everybody was getting out, and my genius brain was thinking, you know what? It's like the stock market: buy low, sell high. Get in when everybody's
It's
getting
kind
out.
of like Jim Cantori in The Storm, where Jim Cantori rushes in from the Weather Channel when the storm's going on and everybody else is going the other way.
I just thought, grab market share now.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody here. I
Yeah.
knew like 9 people when I moved here because I knew Amy. I knew nobody else.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna. This is it. Like
Yeah.
I just for some reason, I'll call it, it's the Holy Spirit, whatever. I just was like, no, this is it. I can do this because I can still run Trunk Pump, but not be on the payroll and still sell those. Nobody cares where I live. They don't know where I live. Everything was
Sure.
even by cell phone.
Of course.
So I attempted to sign up for the first real estate class in February. I couldn't get one in Charlotte. Nowhere.
Right.
Nowhere. So I signed up, and I find out, day before the class, like, canceled. I'm like, man. All right, next one was like March or April. I'm like, all right. Canceled.
Yeah.
And it was like, ugh.
Frustrating.
So finally June hits, and there's a place here called the Elliott School of Real Estate, which
Sure.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Right up there on Battleground.
It was, yeah. So on
yeah.
Battleground,
Yeah.
and it was June, so I signed up my third attempt. I'm just, I want to get in.
Yeah.
So I signed up, and there were 4 of us in that class.
Made it.
Wow.
Made the cut.
How about that?
And but
Wouldn't you love to find out how many are still in the business?
so
Any of you?
Yeah.
so 2.
Sure.
Two. You and one other?
You mean one other.
Wow.
So there were of the 4 of us, 3 of us made it to day 2 of the class.
That's
So
good.
and one other gentleman is still in. So I got my real estate. I took it. I passed the test, and then my wife gave me one other gift. I said, look, I know that this is going to be like, I can just tell this is going to be it. So I was given 2 weeks, and I went and lived on a friend's couch in Wilmington, and I recorded I did a solo CD.
Wow.
Of all the songs that I wrote. I recorded them, recorded everything, engineered it, mixed it, just did everything, just wanted to get it out of me.
Yeah.
I'd been writing songs for a while, because I'd put out a few CDs, but nothing just by myself, just all me. No, I got that done. I did a CD release party in August. I think I sold a solid 40 or 50 copies. Solid.
Solid.
I think it made plywood. It didn't
a
make
great
platinum
level.
or gold. It was plywood.
Plywood.
Absolutely plywood.
A little splinter
By
here
the time
and
I was done. No, but it was just for me, just wanted to just get it out.
Yeah.
And then I actually spent from July to September interviewing firms just to figure out where I wanted to go.
Sure.
And nobody had any sort of training or anything because nobody was getting in.
Right.
Nobody had new agents because nobody was getting in. Everybody's getting out. And I say it's one of the 10 best days I ever had. As I signed on with Keller Williams, but to be quite frank, I signed on with Keller Williams for another reason than they were the only firm at the time that was like, look, we cap how much we're going to keep. It's like a 70-30 split, and we cap it. So I was like, you tell me I sell more than $2 million a year, I get to keep 100% for the rest of the year. They're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Where do I sign?
Yeah.
I was like, because nobody else had that.
Yeah, there was not much in the industry at that point.
No, I mean, at that point, all I know of it here, everybody was like this 50-50, 60-40, whatever, but it was like, nobody had training.
Right.
Because nobody had new agents, so there's a cabinet over there with a bunch of CDs in it. Good luck. But I knew that, wait a minute, they can only keep so much per year. So that was really where it started.
Yeah.
So here's the $1 million question.
Yeah.
All that roller coaster experience that you have in your treasure trough, right? How does that drive you today in what you do?
So I tell everybody the same thing. It's a great question. I feel like everything I did up to that point, every experience, being on the road, talking to people, being in different cities, everything led me to real estate. And I use everything from previous bosses, owners, mentors, everybody. I use every day in real estate, all of it, all of it. Like I walked in with such, well, humbleness, but really hunger, but more importantly, just learning that failing is part of learning. Like, I mean, when we had Trunk Pump rolling, I thought I'd done everything I could do to make us, bulletproof. I didn't have in my business plan that the market was going to collapse.
Sure.
That market's going to freeze. Nobody does.
Right.
And I learned the most valuable lesson, which was, you can't control everything.
Yeah.
All I can control is my actions. So I still, to this day, I say everything led me to real estate. And then when I walked in there on that Tuesday after Labor Day, they gave me a copy of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, which I read time and time again. And I wrote my 9 thank you cards to the people that I knew in the area. And I was like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my gosh. So fast forward, I will tell you the culture there, the agents in that office, I sat in a cubicle and I thought, well, people that are successful have offices and they're still here. Now that office went from, and I'm not exactly right, but when I joined in September 2010, this was just our industry, we had 149 agents. And our office, because the market didn't turn around until 2013. I thought I was getting in like late. But we didn't start actually really feeling it until 2013. So by January 1st, 2013, my office went from 149 agents to 68.
Wow.
Before it started going back up.
Wow.
That was the attrition in the industry.
That was just what was happening.
Yeah.
And, I sold 7 houses in 2011. I didn't sell anything in my first 6 months. I sold 7 houses in 2011. I was Rookie of the Year.
How about that?
I sold 7.
Wow.
Think about that now. You'd
I know, right?
that. Now for that time, that was a lot because
it was.
I think 40%. If you bought your house, they didn't think about it. If you bought your house to not be underwater, you had to have bought your house in 1999 or before. Anybody who bought from 2000 up to 2010 or 11 were upside down.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. It was like everybody was upside down just because the market had gone. It was that bad.
So your 7 sales were probably either short sales or foreclosures.
Oh man, well I know one of them was like $70,000 house.
Yeah, and it probably took
foreclosure.
6 months to get through the process.
God, all of them were. And you know what the best part was though, and you guys know this. We're all servants here, and they're anybody. It's a house. It's sweet for them, and that's what drives us all. Anybody is really. I've ever found anybody that's really successful in this business. It's not the house. It's not even the price tag. It's the people.
Right.
Yeah.
It's getting them in a home. It's getting them moving from A to B or fixing whatever challenges they have, and that's the amazing. That's the part that drives me nuts.
So
drives me crazy.
I think that's a really unique perspective though, because I don't think that's one that's widely adopted. When we get into a very transactional environment where agents are looking at the monetary outcome, it's not really about the monetary outcome. That comes with serving other people. And so if you take care of the people piece, the money piece winds up taking care of itself.
So it really does, because if you think about it, our fiduciary oath is to build and protect other people's wealth.
Yes.
So if we're working with a buyer, our job is to get them the best deal possible. Well, the lower the price we get them, we actually make less money.
Right.
And that's the biggest win I can ever feel. Like, I mean, come on, I have negotiated against you guys.
Sure.
Seriously, like, you want to win for your client.
Yes.
And if you're on the buy side, if you can save them X amount of dollars, well, you just shaved off on paper what you're making.
Sure.
I felt the biggest and best on those because the biggest reward is helping building and protecting the wealth of others.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing hard to teach people is like, look, that's where you do the most good.
Yeah.
On both sides. Look,
Yeah.
we work for our clients.
Yeah.
On the sales side, I'm wearing that hat. My job is to make you the most money and the
Right.
best terms and all those things, right? But on the buy side, I'm fighting to get you to
Sure.
pay the least amount with the least amount of deposits, the least amount of risk.
Well, and you mentioned the word servants. I mean, we really are. If you approach that with a servant's heart, your perspective is to not put yourself first, but to put your client first. And that is our fiduciary responsibility.
That is what we sign up to.
Yeah,
That's our man. We take an ethical oath to do that.
Exactly.
And which also makes it difficult because sometimes, when you sign an agreement with a client, you got to be careful who you're signing an agreement with, because if they ask you to do something and you don't agree with it, however it's legal and it doesn't break ethics, you have to do it. So you have to somehow gain that ability to say, I would never do this. However, I work for you and I'm your fiduciary, so I have to do this. Right. And that's another thing I want to make sure for agents to understand sometimes is like, look, don't shoot the messenger sometimes. I'm acting on my client's behalf, not necessarily mine. I can't break the law, I can't break the rules, I have to treat everybody ethically, However, there are times I've acted on my client's best behalf that I morally didn't agree and it didn't matter. I wasn't breaking the rules, I wasn't breaking the law.
Right.
So let me jump in here a second.
Yeah.
So if you don't know Chris up until now, you know Chris now. He is the most passionate
I love it.
advocate for his clients.
Yeah.
And by the way, we're almost out of time. That's unfortunate because what he also is, he's passionate about being honest and fair and ethical and equitable with the client, the agent on the other side of a contract.
Oh yeah.
And that is what attracted me to Chris, because we have thousands of agents in the triad, and what we need is thousands of Chris, because he has that gut feeling of being fair. Admittedly, you're going to take care of your client. You made that very clear, I think.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But at the same time, you're fair to the agent on the other side, and that's one of the things I really respect about you, Chris.
Oh, thank you. It's very kind.
Yeah, I'm sure you agree.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So as we start to wrap, I got a question for you. So not nearly the musician you are, but I understand the creative outlet that provided for you. So tell me about how music, what do you do to provide that outlet for yourself creatively now?
So I cook a lot.
Yeah.
I cook
I know
a lot.
you're a barbecue guy.
Yeah, like I love to cook. So we joke if I could have my snap my fingers, I would just go to the store every day and pick out what I wanted to cook that night and cook it, or sit around a fire and just play music and write songs.
Yeah.
And I know we're gonna wrap up, so I will say, it's amazing because thank you for noticing that stuff, because through that, now that I've been, you said me, I'm now what's called a bold coach, so there's like 37 of us in the country. And all we do is go around the country and ask agents to be the fiduciary for their clients. And as bold coaches, we really get them really producing at a high level production-wise, but in reality, we're asking them just to be better humans.
Yeah.
And we're really just asking them to start habits that are gonna make them a better human being. We call it 1% better. Just get 1% better. Just a little bit better. Progress, not perfection.
Love that.
And what happens is when they become a better father, sister, brother, agent to agent, the world gets better.
Absolutely.
And I know it sounds silly, but it really does work. If you just put other people and look at their perspective, and that's really what I believe the secret sauce is. Just as a coach now and coaching my team, my agents, and working with other agents, it's just like, well, look at the other side. What do they see?
Right.
What do they see? Just take a second, look at what they see, and then all of a sudden, I think it helps. Like, well, can you understand why they might see it that way?
That's the essence of win-win.
It really is.
Right?
Yeah. It really is.
Yeah.
So
That's
if
the
you
goal.
need somebody to do a jam session for you in a tight spot, call Chris. If you need somebody to step in and take over a contract because it's going south, call Chris. Or if you just need a buddy who's going to be supportive and a great guy, this is your guy right here.
Oh, thank you. It's very kind.
Chris, thanks for joining us tonight.
My pleasure, guys.
Thanks
enjoyed
everybody
it.
for listening, and we'll look forward to our next session, and good evening.